Like most people who are experiencing the season of autumn or fall, I've really been connecting to nature and feeling really in tune and getting out a little bit more. Now, we all experience all seasons every single year, and we do seasonal oriented activities. In spring, we like to look at the beautiful blossoms and blooms. In summer, we like to go out and catch some rays and go to the pool and go to the beach. But I feel like autumn is especially important and especially potent for us when it comes to our connection with nature because we do get out more, especially me living in Texas, where summers can be very hot and kind of long. And then we only have 2 weeks of autumn before winter hits, if we even have those 2 weeks. So I like to pack a good punch. But in autumn, that's when we really go out and we appreciate nature more. When we go out in autumn and we're taking a walk, we actually look at the trees. We don't just walk by them. We look at the trees and we notice all the beautiful colors that they're there to share with us. And we connect with nature seasonally and in terms of what we eat, right? We ingest seasonal oriented foods. We live in a world where we can get any kind of food from anywhere in the world, from any season, pretty much any time that we want it. But and so we don't really eat seasonally most of the year, but when it comes to autumn, that's when the pumpkin spice lattes come out, that's when the chili comes out, and we start really connecting to nature by what we ingest and eating more seasonal oriented foods. So, like everybody else, I've been really connecting with this season and really just taking up the vibes and really connecting to the earth and kind of feeling her vibes. And as I was communing with her, she decided to commune back with me and she had a message that she wanted to share with me and then also with everybody else as well. And that message is connecting to our prime instincts, our prime drivers, our prime desire and strength of survival. And she wanted to talk to us about this in terms of a lot of different realms. She has her own concerns, which she, of course, shared around climate change, around ocean life and wildlife, and the kinds of activities that we are doing or not doing in order to help preserve this beautiful Garden of Eden that she has created for us and that she provides us with. But she also wanted us to take this discussion not just in terms of those bigger concepts, but also in terms of our own lives, because the kinds of actions that we do or do not take when it comes to caring for her are the kinds of actions that we do and do not take when it comes to caring for ourselves and the things that really matter for our own personal survival and instincts. So, let's get into this topic. So, when we think about concepts like climate change or ocean life and wildlife and the ways in which we are caring for or not caring for this planet. A lot of times, what we can do is we can get really excited at first to be a part of it, but then get really overwhelmed by how big of a problem it feels like to us. And then start to think, you know what, there's nothing I can do. Maybe I'll recycle every once in a while, although I guess recycling doesn't, not really quite as effective as we think. But, anyways, that aside, maybe I'll recycle once in a while, or maybe I will, reuse my glass or something like that. But aside from that, I'm really going to leave it to the experts. And I'm maybe going to sit at home and I'm going to watch on TV what's going on with that and be like, yeah, I support that, but then not really take any action. And Mama Gaia wants to say that while she would love for us to be more participatory in this activity, she does understand where we're coming from. And where we're coming from is the idea feels so big that it feels like there's nothing that we can really do. And that's why she wants to talk to us about our prime instincts, because that mentality goes completely against who we really are. And the other aspect of that is we have so many distractions out in the world. Instagram, Facebook, the news cycle that's constantly spinning, on its wheels faster and faster and faster. And so those distractions are there. And because the problem is so big, we allow ourselves to get sucked into those distractions and then not really have much to show for it or to be proud of ourselves about. And she wants to take this conversation and attribute it to not just what matters to her and what matters to us in the long term, but what matters to us now. Because these are the same kinds of activities that we often do when it comes to things that are important for us, things that our soul really wants, our primal instinct for survival. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about when we set goals, for example, New Year's resolutions, or any time that we set our goals, maybe for the year, for the quarter, for our birthday, wanting to achieve big things, knowing in that moment that we have it. We have it in our power to be able to do so. But then as time progresses, we feel like, that's really big. maybe I should make it a little bit smaller. Ah, that's really big. Maybe I'll just not think about it and hope it works out, or maybe even just forget about it completely because I don't think it's ever going to happen. And you know what? Here's this distraction of an Instagram feed where I can watch somebody else doing what I want to do and feel like I'm doing it, but really I'm just watching them, and then I don't really have much to show for it. And she really wants to talk to us about this because this is not how we are wired to be. This is not what's actually in our DNA, but we've lost sight of our actual activation, of our actual codes, of who we really are, what our primal instincts and drives really are. So, how do we access that primal instinct? What is that drive? So, let's talk about human history at a very high level really quickly here. So, humans have been around for hundreds of thousands of years. And when we were first, out there in the world, we had to survive. And we had to be able to overcome animals that we have today, but that were 20 times larger then. Tigers that were 20 times larger than they are now, sloths that were 20 times larger than they are now. Now I don't know how much of a threat large sloths would be, but mammoths, right? We had these huge animals all around the world. And we can see some evidence of that when we look at the Galapagos turtles, right? They're huge turtles, and there were huge animals of a variety of kinds all around the world, and yet we overcame them. And we became the apex predator. We took down the apex predators because in our DNA, in our wiring, is this primal instinct for survival. And it is in all of us because in order for you to exist, every one of your ancestors going all the way back then to that time had to have had that instinct to be able to thrive, to eventually create you. So it is in your DNA. Now, when we think about survival, we often look at it from a more negative context of, yeah, we killed those animals. Is that really good? Is that really bad? We survived, but also that's, well, what about all the species that we are basically making extinct today? But I don't want to talk about survival from that aspect because that's not what she wants to talk about. Because we are all surviving right now. And we all do have that little bit of survival instinct that's running in us right now. Think about our lives today. We have to get a job, we have to pay the bills, we have to put in the time, hoping that we can, feed ourselves, clothe ourselves, shelter ourselves, maybe have a little bit to spend on ourselves for some kind of comfort, for some kind of rest and relaxation and peace, having kids that we want to make sure they have a good education so they can continue on this wheel of being able to provide for themselves. So there is that survival aspect that is going on within us, but that's, again, not what Mama Gaia wants to talk to us about, because that is something that is being triggered in us and is being done in a way that takes out the second component of survival, which is collaboration, working together collectively. See, in order for us to be able to thrive when it came to handling apex predators, we had to work together. We had to collaborate together. In order for Homo sapiens to be able to overtake the Neanderthals and many of the other Homo species that were around, because there were many, we had to be able to work together because we were not stronger than Neanderthals. I don't even know that we were necessarily better equipped at hunting. What we were really good at was working together and being so good at that core skill that we were able to eat up all the food to where the Neanderthals eventually, a lot of them ended up not being able to survive due to starvation and not getting enough nutrition and not getting enough food. And that came from the instinct to survive and the desire and knowledge of the power of collaboration. And we have lost sight of both. And again, Mama Gaia says, I understand why. I understand why, because you were put in a world, a civilized world, where you were forced into a state of constant survival mode. That's at your baseline, which happens in nature too. Okay, let's be real. If we're out in nature, we'd still be fending for ourselves. This situation is not as bad as sometimes we feel like it is, right? There's a lot of benefits that we are getting from the system as it is. But what she wants us to come back to is our true selves as well, because it does not have to be either or. We can have this and come back to our true selves. And that's really what she wants for us, because when we come back to our true selves, that's when we can make big things happen. So right now, we are put in a situation where we kind of think small, right? We just got to figure out how we're going to live to the next day, the next day, next day. So, of course, when it comes to our goals that are long term, we don't really know how to think that way. We're not really trained that way. We have to start getting practice to be able to do that. We have to start believing in ourselves. We have to connect to our primal instinct to be able to achieve great feats together. When we're at work, we're constantly being compared to each other. When we look at Instagram or Facebook and all these distractions, we're constantly comparing ourselves to them because that's what sells, right? Comparing ourselves to other people. If we can get you to compare yourself to me and want to be me, you're going to want to purchase everything that I have, right? So there is this comparison aspect, and that divides us, that does not make us collaborate together. So Mama Gaia wants us to look at these big problems and remember that we are apex predators. We are top of the line, prime, and it's wired into your DNA. So when there is a big problem, whether it is climate change or ocean life, or whether it is the goals of our own life, we have it wired in us to be able to achieve it. And it comes from reconnecting to that primal aspect, which means it comes from letting go of some of these distractions and understanding what are those distractions distracting you from? And what kinds of feelings are they creating in you? Are they dividing you up into little pieces of how you don't measure up? Are they keeping you from working on your goals and connecting to yourself? Distractions are great, right? Because we want to see what other people are doing. We're social creatures and we learn by looking at what other people are doing and seeing if that's something for us. So there's nothing really wrong with that. It's just that Mama Gaia is saying, you're doing it a little too much. Stop getting hung up on the news cycle. Start doing something about the things in your life and about me. So that's what she really wanted to share with us, is that we are capable. And the more that we focus back on what we really want and understand that we are hardwired to survive, because that's the difference, is when you think about your goal or when you think about climate change or ocean life, those things seem so far away, right? We don't think, well, if I don't achieve this goal, I won't be able to survive. If I don't fix climate change, well, it's not directly threatening me like a 20 times larger animal would. So that instinct, that's what's kind of been separated from us. And it's not about being scared and that kind of survival aspect. It's about realizing the mountains that we can climb and if we climb together. So with this, think about, what are your goals in life? What are some big problems in the world also that you would like to have solved? And what distractions do you tend to gravitate towards? What are they distracting you from? How can you connect more deeply with yourself? And very importantly, how can you find others who can help you? Because it is about collaboration. It's not about fighting with each other. It's about collaborating with each other, because that's how we achieve great, great feats. It's the story of our entire civilization across all civilizations. And also importantly, who out there can you help? Who out there can you help with their goals, and who can help you with yours? So that is a message that Mama Gaia wanted to share with us as we're entering into enjoying fall, entering into December, and probably going to be start thinking about our new goals. And she doesn't want us to think that, you know what, I set a goal every year and it never works, so I'll just say one because that's what we're supposed to do, or I'm not even going to focus on New Year's resolutions whatsoever, like it's not even a thing, it never happens. She wants us to have a different approach. She wants us to connect now with our primal instincts so that we're ready. We're ready for the goals and the next year